Hey guys, thank you so much. Here is what the entire source code will be available under Vichy Pylor inside the GitHub Vichy Pylor speaker series and AZConf 17th April 2021. So this I will, Dinesh will share it with you guys in some time. Okay, so what are we going to do today? There are a lot of things we are going to do it. So let's quickly see this. The sessions will be hands-on, and the focus is more on the concepts, and demos are kept simple just to understand this one. I'm still a learner, and apologize me if I do some mistake or tell something which is incorrect. Okay, so what are we going to do? So we are going to cover all these things except the durable functions, because the other demos itself is going to take a lot of time. So what is we'll just introduce. We'll not go much into the theory because we have the end-to-end demo. So we'll go ahead with create functions with Node.js, C#, and we use multiple methods. We'll create this Azure functions. We'll use HTTP and blob triggers, and then we'll use input bindings, output bindings, and chaining, function chaining, and deploy using deploy Azure functions using Funk, Azure Core Tools, as well as Visual Studio Code. There are a lot of things to do, so please fasten your seatbelt. So I'll quickly take 2 minutes time to walk you through what we are going to do. We'll not speak much because there's tons and tons of documentation which was given here, but at least we'll do a touch base on what we are going to do, and then we'll go ahead and do our first demo. As we'll go and create a Azure function app and create an Azure function, HTTP trigger Azure function in Node.js inside this portal. And we'll quickly go ahead and add some NuGet package, and we'll see that how the NuGet package happens, and we'll do a testing through browser, and we'll go and look into the tabs, code test, integration, monitor, and we'll look into the storage account which gets created, and we look into the Kudu console. How can we do some additional things apart from default provided files? What else we can do? And we'll test it using the Postman, the negative scenario, and we'll test it with the positive scenario. Then what we will do is we'll go ahead and create a webhooks. Have already created a repository. Here I have enabled the webhook. So what happens is once we do a commit to this repository, it sends a webhook to our git code change tracker HTTP trigger function, and we are going to write the output to a table as well as the blob. And the moment we write to the blob, this another Azure function app will get triggered. It's like a function chaining. One function and other function gets kicked in based on this function's output, and we'll see that. And we'll use a lot of function core tools here. So we'll see that how can we deploy this to the function app, and we'll see that how this GitHub sends the information once we modify or do something. And this is a storage table which is there in our storage. And then the moment we write a record, the other thing, we'll drop a blob inside the blob storage, and then that goes. This is a second function as part of the function chain. This is the second function which gets triggered and writes the value into another table. And after that, there's another experiment. These still here we do with Node.js, and here we'll start with the Visual Studio Code as well as the C#, and we'll create a Azure function which this trigger retrieve GitHub code changes, because we already storing those GitHub changes here. How many times someone is changing that, and we'll go and retrieve those content. We'll deploy using the Visual Studio Code, and we'll retrieve the content using the Postman. And we have a small application, Blazor Wasm, which gets the content from this Azure function and displays it on the page. So we have a lot of things to do. As I told, let's start. Again, please fasten your seatbelt. let's start with this Azure function. So as we know that that's the, let me open it because I don't maintain this documentation because we have a lot of documentation. Okay, Azure Functions is a serverless solution, so we can write code and very less code. We'll see that why are we telling that we are writing a less code, and we need to maintain very less infrastructure and save on cost. And what does this mean is we'll see that in a moment. Suppose if you want to connect to a blob storage or a table or a queue, service bus queue, we have to at least maintain the connection and open the connection and ensure that the table exists or not. We create this one. We don't need to write any of those code. The Azure function, they themselves provide everything out of the box. So we'll see that how it happens. Okay, and we can write the code in many different languages. Okay, so lot of languages we can write. So the different scenarios, like if you want to build a web API or process some files, or you have a serverless workflow, respond to some events or changes, okay, run a scheduled task, like you want to clean up job or update some tables based on the entire day's operations, and messaging systems, real-time data, lots and lots of scenarios we can. It's like sky is the limit kind of thing. Now these kind of function chaining, as I was mentioning, function chaining, the once one function gets its job done, another function kicks in. So these kind of things you can do as a independent functions which chains each other, or the best option is to use the durable function. Okay, so we can use C Sharp, Java, Node.js, PowerShell, Python, TypeScript. A lot of other things are coming in, but these are the pretty decent thing. And consumption plan is the one which we will focus today. So what happen is the other plans like premium plan or a dedicated plan, and once you are willing to pay more, or you have a use case where you want to you want that much processing power, so you can go ahead with this premium plan or a dedicated plan. We will, for today's demo, we will focus on the consumption plan. So scales automatically and only pay for compute resource when your functions are running. Only the time when you run, execute this, only that time we will get charged. Okay, that's a default hosting plan. Pay only for when the functions are running, scales automatically. Okay, as and when, suppose if you get one message in the queue, this Azure function goes and reads the queue. Suppose you drop 2000 messages, so it automatically scales and process it pretty fast. You don't need to maintain any servers or have some scalings configured. It is automatically taken care. Okay, so that's of the theory, and let's go ahead and start with this. Okay, so some of the things what I'm using is this is the Azure portal, and I'm using the Linux Ubuntu. So AZ account show. So that shows the default account, whatever I have configured at this point of time, and AZ group list table. So that shows the resource groups which we have. Okay, so these are the things we have right now. So I have created all these things, and I will upload it. Whatever the changes I do it today, I'll upload it. So one of the common infrastructure what we need is this one, some of this common infrastructure. So basically when we create Azure functions, we need few things. We need a we need a storage account, we need apps insights, we need a hosting plan. So the hosting plan, when we create the web app, so the hosting plan which we have it in a web app is little bit different from the consumption plan. We'll see how it differs. Let's first go ahead and create our first function app. So this is our first function app. So I'm going to create a function app, and the code The runtime stack I'll choose as Node.js, LST14, and that's in East Asia. Next, in the hosting plan, it automatically creates a storage account, or we can select the storage account. Why the storage account is needed, we'll look into that in a moment. So I'm selecting the Windows, and we have the consumption, function premium, or app service. App service is similar to the one we have it in an app service. We are selecting the consumption plan. So I'll do a review and create, and just click on create. Okay, so that goes for a deployment process in progress. So it takes a couple of minutes, not more. So already it started creating the app service plan. So you can come into this operation details, and we can see that it has provisioned this app service plan within 5 seconds. So you will have the rest of the details, whatever it does created. It created it was succeeded. So the next thing is it is creating the storage account. So we can come and see that. So it took almost 29 seconds. It's still working. So the storage account has been done. We can come and see it took 30 seconds to complete this storage account. And let me do a refresh. I think the deployment is still in progress. So let's wait for 1 more minute. So in the meanwhile, while this is deploying, what are we going to do? So initially, we'll just create we have created an Azure function app. We'll add a Azure function. So inside a Azure function app, you can have set of Azure functions. You can group all related Azure functions into an Azure function app. Okay, and then what we will do is we will go and code it. So initially we'll see that how to test that with a inside this Azure portal, then with a browser, and also with the Postman. And then we will go ahead and add a npm package and add some more functionality. It's very simple functionality, but we're going to do and test that. So these are the things which are going to do here. So it took 50 seconds to provision. So you have everything in this deployment, and we can go ahead and download the templates also. So let me go to this resource group, and inside this resource group, you can see that it has created the app service plan, and it created the storage account, and it has created the Azure function app. Okay, at this point of time, we don't have application insights, but that's also very much needed. So I'll come into this application insights and turn application insights, and instead the resource group, create a new. I'll click on apply. So that goes and creates the application insights. Application insights plug. So it's applying the changes. Let's give it a minute. It will be done pretty quick. So, okay. So see this, your app is connected to the application insights. So that's the application insight it has created. So these are the 4 important pieces when we are going to create an Azure function app. So you need an app service plan, and you need the application insights, the function app, and the storage. So one thing to notice inside this app service plan is this is Y1. Okay, that means it's a dynamic. So based on the load, it scales in. Okay, it scales in and scales out. And you need an application insights, you need a Azure function app, and you need a storage account. Okay, let's go get going with this function app. So you come in here to this function, and I will go ahead and create. Here is the demo script which I have created, so you guys can follow this demo script. So I'll go ahead and add this. So there are multiple triggers. You can see this HTTP trigger, timer trigger, Azure storage queue, lots and lots of things are there. So I selected the HTTP trigger. So by default, it uses the HTTP trigger one as a name. So I changed that name, and authorization level is I'm choosing function. Okay, anonymous means anyone can hit. Admin as additional level. So I just create with the authorization level of function app, and that gets created. So I will open this over here. So I have created multiple tabs so that we don't need to switch between. So it's already there. Okay, so let me come back over here. So by default, it has created this function app. It's called array operations, and here is the code. And you can see this function.json, where we have this bindings and bindings information. What is the kind of bindings? And index.js is the one where we have this code, and we can do a test run. So I will click on run. So the moment I click on run, it goes and it executes this function, and we got this information. And this is the simplest thing. If I don't send any information, then it goes and it executes, and it sends a negative response saying that we have to either pass this information. It does all these things. Okay, and once you come back to integration tab, we'll come back and work in this one. It's just a starting point. Okay, if you see this triggers, uh, it can have only one trigger. A function app can have only one trigger, and you can see this input bindings and output bindings. It shows the plus symbol. That means I can go and add any number of input bindings, and you can see this how many types of bindings I can do, and outputs also we can have. We can have this output binding. You can see this. These are all the things by default it provides. So we're not going to use it at this point of time. We'll come and revisit that. And if you come back to monitor, and here you can see this how many times our function has been executed, and this is related to the function key, the code. Okay. Now if I come back to this code, the code here, code and test, I will grab this function URL. I will go and execute this function URL from here. It says that we didn't pass the name parameter. I'll do name as I pass this, so it executes this one. So we can come back to monitor. It's taking some time because it has to flush, even though we are not here, but it is going to do that. So let me come back over here. We need to do some other things. And after doing that, what we have tested with these things. And another thing what we can do is we can come in, grab this, go to the Postman, create a new tab, and send it from the Postman tool. We got this one. And if you want, we can send a body, the raw, that's JSON. We can send the we can do a get operation or a post operation. Based on that, we can do these things. Okay, that being said, what if I want to do something else apart from this hello world? Yes, we will be definitely able to do that. So for that, what we will be doing is we'll go to this function app, And inside this function app, if you scroll down, you will have the Azure advanced tools here, and click on go. This is a Kudu console, and it will have an exact name with that .scm added. If you see this one, whatever is there, you will have a .scm added to that. And from here, I can go to this command, and inside this command, I will go to this website and www, and inside this, I will npm init. I do a npm. It's going to take a little bit of time, but not much. Okay, I do spend time productively. So you can see that it goes and creates a new package JSON, and npm install Lodash. I'm going to install the Lodash. So you can see this the moment it's installing. So it will create this node modules. At this point of time, it is in staging. That means it is still in process. So it takes a minute or so. And the moment it downloads that, it will create the package lock JSON with the package. It created the package lock JSON, and you can come in and see this. The Lodash is here. So that's pretty good. So we can come back to this, and I've given those code here under the documentation and the starter app. I'm going to update this one. It's just the starting point. So I will go ahead and copy this here, and I do a save, and we can come and see that we will have the package JSON too. Let's okay, you have the package JSON, and inside that package JSON, we have the Lodash. So what are we doing here in this? It's a pretty simple function. Here it checks for the input. It needs the digits as well as the name. Both should exist. So what are we going to do is we are just going to traverse the digits, and we'll do a console. And if we don't give both the inputs, we are going to send 400 bad request. We'll ask to send this one. If we send the input, we use the Lodash to reverse the digits and partition. So all the odd numbers will be in one partition, all the even numbers will be in another partition. So if you want to do a quick test of this one, we already have the URL. Let's, without wasting any further time, I will go and copy this and paste it over here, and we'll click on send. So you can see this, what all the things we are getting the message, and this is the machine on which the Azure gets executed, because I'm pulling it from the process env computer name. So it shows that, and it did the reverse. And if I don't send any of these parameters, so if I do this, so it asks me to send the parameter, and it is returning this 400. And if I send this parameters 5 and 6, so you can see that does a reverse, as well as it partitions the odd numbers and even numbers. So that was our first demo. So what did we cover? We verified it. We code and test tab, and we tested using the browser. We looked into the integration tab. Monitor tab, we have to revisit that. So let's go and look at the monitor tab again. Did it flush the events or not yet? Okay, you see that? So it flushed all those events. It took some time after integrating. So this is the one which goes and checks, it tracks everything. I mean, as and when you have written all these things. So we have executed for 7 times, and it has got the logs of everything. Okay, so now we will look into this storage. So why the storage is needed? So if you come and check into this blob containers, so you have this Azure Web Job host and secrets. But for us, the interest is this one, file share. You have the same function name here, and a random number assigned to it. And you can see this, the site, the same thing, whatever we have seen in this Kudu console. You can see this. you have seen the site, and once you go into site, you have this dub root. So you can see the same thing, all these things, and inside the dub root, you have that operations and the host JSON. You are seeing the same here, and inside the operations, you are seeing the node modules in this function, and whatever you are seeing here in this Kudu console, the same thing you will be seeing here in Azure Storage. Okay, so we have covered that Kudu console, and we have tested with the Postman. So that's pretty much. So what are we going to do here in our next demo? So in the next demo, what we are going to do is we will I have a GitHub repository, and when I do some changes to that GitHub repository, it will intimate us. So what I do is create a new file. I'll call it as sample1.txt. The sample, and I commit this changes. So the moment I commit it, it will send a webhook. We will configure the webhook. That means you'll come in here, and we can go to this webhooks here, and if I want to edit that webhook, it is. See this? This is the URL which I've given. At this point of time, it will fail because that yesterday I tested with this webhooks. I deleted that webhook. So it says that it tried to deliver this payload, but it failed it. But we will see that in a moment. Okay, I'll keep this one. So it while doing that, it tells that what has happened. So what did we do? And see this. Did we add anything? Did we remove anything? Did we modify anything? It gives us this information. Cool. So let's see. Let's go ahead and start working on that. So I have created all those scripts also. So I'm going ahead and I'm creating some of these things. So why do we need the storage account? We have seen that. So I'm going to create this storage account. In the meanwhile, I will keep everything here. So it's going to create a new storage account. So it takes a minute or one, and then we'll create a application insights and a app service plan. We can reuse this one in the interest of time. Let's reuse that. Okay, it took less time. So the next one is I'm creating the application insight, and then I will create a hosting plan. So for that hosting plan, I just created a small ARM template. So this ARM template, it goes and deploys this app service plan. As I was mentioning, the size is Y1, so the tier is dynamic. So which is a little bit different from the app service plans which we do have it. Okay, so let's that's done. So let's go ahead and quickly deploy this. That's only one-time investment, folks, and then we are all set. I will. It's running. It will not take much time. Let's give it a minute. And you can see that while that's going in here, so it will create those resources. So this is the application insights which we are going to use it, and this is the storage account. So in the meanwhile, let's get the keys of this one. Anyway, I'm going to delete all these resources. So I'll bring this keys and right mouse click on that, connect to the storage, and the storage account. Next. So, and I'm connecting to the storage account while that's happening. Okay, cool. And the next thing is, let's create this. We are dynamically creating the function app, folks. So I am executing this AZ function app create. So we can come back to this and see all the resources which are getting created. So this is the application inside. This is the app service plan which we created, and this is the storage account which we have created. And for any reason you need the template, you can come to that export template, and whatever we did it tracks it everything in this place. So you can grab, or you want some specific item, you can select that particular item, and then you can go grab the template of that particular item. So you'll get it a very simple template which is only for that particular resource, not for the entire resource group. So it depends. You can manually create, then copy the template, and then from there onwards you can start reusing it. Okay, so see that it has created everything. So without any further delay, let's go ahead and start. So this is Azure Function App which we created, and cool. So we can come back here to the storage, and we can verify that the Azure file share, whatever we have seen in this one. So let's not waste time. I just want to show you that whatever we have it in the portal, we can see it here also. Okay, now that's done. So let's come to the second demo. So we have this. Let's create Azure function is also created. I'm just waiting on this one. Okay, core tools. And once that is done, let's go ahead and create this guy, GitHub code changes tracker. And I'll come here, and that will be the HTTP trigger. That will be the, oh, I'm sorry, that we are going to create it using the, that we are going to create using this Azure function app. So what we will do is we'll come into this location inside this source. Let me go ahead and reveal in Explorer. So I got the source here. So let me open a command prompt and cd into that and d colon. So I see three things. So what do we need now? So we need to create a Azure function app. Okay, func init. So let me use the, let me create a folder here. So here, and we use func version to verify the version, and we use func. When the moment you use func, it says that what all the things you can do. So here we can quickly see this. Init will create a new function app in the current folder, and new is create a new function from the existing template. So let's do func init. So we do func init, and I want to use the .NET, and I want to use the JavaScript. The moment it does, you can come and see here. So it just created a function app. It has the host and the local settings. Cool. So we have that. And the next thing what we are going to do is we are going to go ahead and create a new new function app. We're going to create two new function apps. Okay. Func new, and that we will need a HTTP trigger. What is the function name? That should be GitHub code change tracker. That's one thing, and we need another thing that will be the blob trigger. Sorry. I have created a wrong function. here, GitHub code change tracker. Func new, and that is HTTP trigger. That's a function name. And another one is we need text file creation, and that is blob trigger. Yeah, blob storage trigger, and that's this one. So we have two of the triggers. So we have this code change tracker, and we have the text file change, right? So I'll keep it here. I already have the code. So let me grab this code. So here is this one. So first let's get this function app. So I'll update this function app with this bindings. I'll explain what's being done here. So that's one thing. And then we'll grab this code in the index. Perfect. So that's everything is done. I'll close this. And the next thing is we have the text file change creation. So we'll come back to this text file change creation. Let me grab this. Okay. And let me come back to the code index. Let me grab this and paste it over here. And anything in this local settings, I use this local settings, come back here and update the local settings. Okay, now we'll look into this, what's happening. So I have this HTTP trigger, and you can see this. We have additional binding. The table name, I'm telling it as git code changes, and this the connection string. We are not directly giving the connection string, but we are telling that table storage connection app setting that we are providing inside this local settings. So here I'm using the my local machine, but there we will use this Azure storage. Okay, inside this, what we are doing is we are getting the input, the entire code change, whatever we have seen in the GitHub repository, and all we can access is bindings.table binding, and I'm creating an record. I want to capture the full name, owner, HTML URL, and the commits, who did the commit, and what was added, what was removed, and what was modified. So that I'm writing into the blob storage, as well as I'm writing into the table storage. So if we don't give a proper input, we'll get this 400. Once we give it, it gives us this full name and the computer name. Everything it gives us. Okay, that's one thing. And this is the table blob triggered. So this is the trigger binding input, and output is again we are writing into another table. Here what we are doing is whatever the text file change, whatever someone adds the blob, so what we do is we'll get this triggered, and inside the text it will give the blob. So I can go ahead and do a text file dot toString. It gives me the entire content of that one. Okay, so let's quickly go ahead and execute this one to see how it works locally, and we can do a debugging also here. So let me go ahead and do a func start. So the moment I do func start, it executes this, and let's go ahead and see what is happening inside this local. I will come in here and come in here. I can see this quite a few records I have created yesterday. So let me do a cleanup of that so that we can. Okay, these were the things which I had it previously. So let me go ahead and delete those so that we'll see how the things are working. And I go and delete. Let me delete that one by one. Okay, it's trying to delete. Okay, no problem. In the meanwhile, we can check this one. I just want to see that properly. I delete this. Perfect. So we don't have anything in this Git code changes because first when we hit this HTTP trigger, it creates a row here, and also it creates a blob storage uh, file. The moment it creates a blob storage file, it will come and hit the second function blob storage, and that will create another row. So let's go ahead and quickly check this. Where is the URL? This is the URL of this one, code change tracker. So I already have it over here uh, in my Postman. I will come in over here. Here is a body which I'm sending. So the moment I click on send, so it goes and executes this Azure function one after another, and then it goes and gives us the response. So let's see, did it stuck somewhere? What is an address? Okay, so you can see this the moment we created it. It says that now see this, the executed at AS Vishwanath Swami. Previously, when we created, we saw that it was giving the computer name. That means the virtual machine or the infrastructure where it was hosted, where it executed, it gave that. So once we can quickly come back to Azure Storage, and we can see that the 103, that's the input which I've given over here, 103. And the next thing is it created the blob file, and the moment it created the blob file, it comes and hits this one. So how do you know that? We can tell that, hey, how do you know that it is properly hitting this? So that we can test it quickly. We'll not do a full debugging, but at least we'll put it into these here. One, that's the first one where we are GitHub code change tracker, and one I'm putting it here at the at this place. Okay, so let me go ahead and start this. Here I do code and dot, so that opens up in a new Visual Studio Code, and I do debug and run. We can do this debug and run at the from inside this. Just give me a moment. So mine is Node.js. Okay. So come to this Node.js, and I do no. It's not the correct one. It's not the correct one. When we go here, we get into this index. So it should prompt us for enabling this Azure function execution. So let me come in here. Yeah, this one. This is the correct one. Okay, let's give it a minute. Select the environment. No, not this. Okay, that that should be fine because that configuration is different. Let me open up another one which I created yesterday, but the entire code is the same. So let me open that. funcs. And this was the function which I created yesterday. Technically, the same code, we just copied it from here. So the VS Code, it didn't. I didn't enable this. That's my mistake. So actually, this should be the launch settings. So now what happened is, let's come back to this one, because technically the code is same. The code is one and the same, because I tested this last night. And let me place this here, and I do start. So it will do a func host start. So we'll see over here, it does the func host start here, func host start, and it takes 1 or 2 minutes, and it just comes in here. So, okay, that's the previous bindings, whatever the files which we have it. So at this point of time, 103 was the record. Now I'm creating 104, and that's a change. So you can see here, it comes in here. What is the first file? It is coming to the GitHub change tracker. That means you can come and see this 104 record should be here. So the 104 record is here, but you will not have the, you will have the file 104, but the table changed because it will trigger right now. It will trigger right now for that 104. So we have the 103. Now it will trigger. It has come to the text file creation. The moment I do, you will see an extra row here that is for the 104, right? So this is our Azure function. So we have the capability to test it from local also. We successfully tested this, and after we tested it, we can come back to the portal real quick, and we can check in here. We have the Azure function demo here, and we go into this. So we don't have anything. So real quick, let's go and do a deploy. We can use our Azure function because we already created the app. Now I do deploy. While it is deploying, let's go ahead and create another one just to save in the interest of time. So the VS Code demo, we need another function app, because that's where we are runtime stack is .NET, and it's in East Asia, and I do review and create. Perfect. So it is in the meanwhile, it is completing the deployment, and we are creating a new function app so that we can do another .NET version. So this is also the Node.js version. So we can come and see this Azure Core Tools, and inside this function. Okay, see this. It has beautifully done its job. Let's quickly come back to configuration. And did I copy this storage account configuration? Access keys. Let me go to the access keys. Actually, we should get it from the key vault, but because the demo is only 1 hour, so we have less time, a lot of things to cover. So I'm just let's keep it over here, and quickly come back to the core. What is the table and app settings? Come back to the portal here, and we need to add a new settings, and that's the name, and that's the connection settings. Click on OK and do a save. Continue. That's good. And come back to the let's wait. Did it create? Okay, let it give us a control. Okay, that's cool. So it's done. Let's do a quick restart just to ensure that it's picking up the latest configuration. Cool, that's done. So let's do a quick refresh and I'll come back to this Azure function. Let me get the code and test. I need to get the function here so that I can go and configure the webhook. So I copied this Azure function. I'm coming back to my GitHub. I'll come in here. This is the URL to which it will post the payload. I will come in and where did I miss the button? Okay, update the webhook. So it is updating the webhook. Now, whatever the changes I do, add or modify, whatever I do, that will be sent to the this address, whatever the latest address we have it right now. So I'll go open the this one and click on edit. Changing the content, and let me come back over here. I do a commit of these changes, and then we can come back to this webhook over here, and let's do a refresh. See that it nicely it has hit this one, so it's sent to this Azure websites, and then it received a response also. So this, see, that's on the machine on which it executed. So table, this has been captured inside the table. So we can quickly come back to the function. It takes some time. Let's see if it is flushing out the logs here. We can see the logs are oh Jesus, what did I do? Okay, maybe it's going to take some time. Let's not worry on that one. Let me come back to that storage explorer here. Oh, we already have the storage explorer. I can go back to this one and quickly can see that file share will be updated with the new function.
Nice.
Whatever we created.
Nice,
And so, what's the storage account I used? Azure function. Technically, that's a storage account. I used it. So let me come in here inside the storage account. See this? Okay, this is the storage account it used. So that was the reason we are unable to see that. Blob container, sample work items. So it's taking some time. See this? That has captured. And this is also captured. Okay, no problem. So I will do this. So that's one thing. It's taking some time for some reason. I don't know. I think we are using to use this storage account. I use the other storage account. Okay, so let me show you another demo in the meanwhile. So right now we have that content there. Through the previous Azure functions, the Node.js Azure functions, we have captured the changes done in GitHub and we brought it to the table storage. So I have another Azure functions, so which I will show you, that was written in .NET. So how can we do it? AZFunk and so here I have created a simple Azure function. The technically it does the same thing. So I will go to that host. That means whatever the records which we have it on the cloud, it should technically bring it to us now. So let me execute this function. So we can quickly see this, and we can do the integration also here in our local app settings. I will change the app settings. Okay, it is executing it. So now, right now we have the function ready. So I can come back to this Postman and retrieve these changes. So I can click on send. So now that goes to the.
Hi, Swami.
Yeah.
We have around 3 more minutes, and we have like a couple of questions. So you want?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure. One second. I'll just I'll take that. It is taking some time. Okay, so I'll stop this. I just wanted to show you another thing, but anyways, I'll show you. The code is there inside the Git repository. So I'll just take 1 minute time. Dinesh, I'll come back to the queries. I'm sorry. So this was the second demo which we created, and this was the third demo. We'll see that. Okay, so this is, I've already created the code and it is there here. So you guys can go check it. Let me stop sharing and we can go ahead and discuss on the queries.